for all ages, tennis, swimming, and a playground. But the fun doesn't stop after dark. There's even a bar and an arcade.
I found
and
it.
If you aren't ready to go home yet, we've even got a spacious room for your comfort, complete with air conditioning, Wi-Fi, and a private bathroom. The Toucan Mall can also facilitate your event in our spacious conference hall. We also have a theater with films for the entire family. It's the Toucan Mall located in Amelia's Ward, Linden.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome once again to a program of your health and your wellness and your well-being from afar. For now, this is your favorite Dr. Haynes coming to you from the studios. Wishing you safe homegoing. Hope that you're wearing your mask when you need to wear it. I hope that you're keeping yourself 6 feet apart. Most of you are not doing that. I hope that you're practicing it, at least trying to practice it. I'm hoping that you are working on continuous enhancement of your immune system so that you can ward off any attacks, because viruses are all the time present. And if you're wearing a mask over and over, you need to wash it maybe every other day to get rid of some of what you've accumulated on it, inside and outside. I know many of you are wearing reusable masks, so you need to practice cleaning the mask, because you may be reinfecting yourselves if you don't do that. So practice washing your mask and sterilizing it so that you could keep away anything from even yourself from getting back into your system. Also, I understand that we have grade 6 going on, and the children are exposed to each other. I don't know what all the circumstances are, but it's very difficult to wear a mask all the time and write an exam. I know that. It's not easy. So if you have to do that, kids, just make sure that you don't think about it and focus on your work. Because the reason why you're in that classroom is because you're there to prove your ability and to show the world that you're capable of moving into higher places educationally. You are our future, and we need a good future because we have chaos at the moment. So we need a good and better future so that we could avoid some of the embarrassment that we're facing. And we're hoping that you're grooming yourselves and you're being groomed to be better examples to the nation and to the world. But in the meantime, while you're focusing on your schoolwork and your exam, I am going to say to you that you need to practice the same modalities that we talk about: safe distancing, wash your hands thoroughly, at least clean for 20 seconds, sanitize properly, and make sure that you don't expose yourself to someone unnecessarily who may have a problem with some virus or some bacteria and so on. One of the viruses that I want to speak about today is one that plagues our society, but we're not very conscious of it because we do things so normal when it comes to that it's sometimes overlooked. And it has to do with using the toilet and not sanitizing properly after you finish. First of all, there's a virus that is transmitted by the fecal oral route, meaning that it is transmitted from the hand to the body, to the mouth, via the mouth, or via food, or via maybe eating something with your hands that allows the fecal matter to get on your hand and then it gets into your mouth. That virus is called adenovirus, and adenovirus is a very dangerous virus because what it does, it continues to deplete your immune system and it can be spread from person to person. I find this a lot in children, and I also find it a lot in persons who use a lot of finger foods like roti and curry and bake and salvation. You know, I could see your taste buds getting active. You know, nice roti and curry chicken or roti and curry mutton, you know, and you're using your hands to tear the roti apart, dipping it into the curry, and then you put in that hand onto the food and then the food into your mouth. You don't know what you might have transmitted. So before you were to dive into something like that, make sure that you wash your hands and scrub your nails. Even scrub your nails because you don't know what bacteria is hiding under your nails. Right? The other thing is that when you defecate, I'm going to suggest that you do this, all of you, male and female, especially the female because of the close proximity of the vagina to the anus or rectum. When you finish wiping and you think you're done, get another piece of tissue and damp it with some water and wipe again. And you're going to be surprised that you didn't really do a good job wiping. You damp that tissue and wipe until you don't see anything else. Because many women transmit that fecal matter to their own personal cells and gives themselves infections. That is a fact. Because of how your body is dynamically put together, when you walk, when you wear the underwear, you could transmit fecal matter into your vagina. Simple as that. So when you finish defecating and wipe with a dry paper, my advice to you is to damp some more tissue and wipe again until you ensure that there's nothing remaining there. Because that virus, that bacteria creates what we call yeast, and that yeast creates problems. Okay? Now, when you finish doing that, get to the sink and wash your fingers. And if you wipe with the right hand, flush with the left hand. Don't flush with the same hand you wipe with, because what you're doing, you may be transferring fecal matter onto the handle of the toilet. And then someone else goes behind you and uses it, and then they pick it up. Or some people choose to flush the toilet after they finish washing their hands. Well, when you finish washing your hand, if you did put fecal matter on that handle, then you're going to pick it right back up when you flush with that hand. So you want to somehow uh, flush with the other hand or the other fingers that you didn't use to wipe. Then also wipe the handles. When you're cleaning up in your homes also, when you're doing your cleaning, clean all of your doorknobs. You know, all of your doorknobs, your handles, your faucets. Seriously, you want to do those things normally because many of those places are overlooked in cleaning, and you don't know what you leave on those knobs and handles. So I suggest also that you do clean the handles and make sure that you sanitize them properly, keep away any kind of bacteria from being transmitted. You may have a clean hand, but then you may have a dirty doorknob. And you put your hand on that doorknob after you clean your hands, and then you pick something up again, and then you go and you eat your dinner, and you eat your roti and your curry, and then you pick it up, and then there goes, boom. You transmit something into your system, right? So we've got to become more sensitive to how we actually do things. It can't be the same anymore. It shouldn't be the same anymore because you just never know. This is a practice that I teach all the time, but I think some persons may have not heard. Some person may have not been conscious of that part of it, and some persons may just not have heard it, right? Now, I wanted to talk about something else that happened a couple of weeks back, not 2 weeks fully yet, but I didn't have a chance to be live last week. We had some terrible accidents that occurred, terrible accidents, and some of those accidents that occurred took lives. We had lives that were lost. Now, if you notice, most times when lives are lost, it's male lives that are lost. We already don't have enough men in society, but yet still we have men that are basically committing suicide. Because if some of those things are things that are being done that are causing those accidents to happen by persons who are conscious of what they're doing, then obviously you're just committing suicide. You're killing yourselves. You know, when I see how young men ride motorcycles, those motorcycles being used on the roadways are being used to transport you from one place to the next. You know, it's not a car. It doesn't have four wheels. So if you lose your balance, then you're on the ground. That's it. When you put your head down and your legs stretched out and you're riding a motorcycle, you're showing off. That's what you're doing. You're showing off because you're not in a place where it's free to do it. You're not on a tarmac where you can do exhibition, perform exhibitions for a show. You're just showing off, and you don't think of the danger that lies ahead, especially on curves. I see young men doing that all the time, and I just shake my head because I call them human torpedoes. Because if by chance you were to collide with something, there's nothing to hold you back. You're going to be launched just like a torpedo, and where you end up is between you and God. Right? So I think it's just sheer reckless and carelessness. I think something needs to be done to put some sort of a stop to that type of practice on the roadways, and serious penalties should be put in place because you're not only jeopardizing your life when you do that, you're jeopardizing the life of others and you're destroying other persons' material possessions. So I want to think that something needs to be enforced, put in place to stop that type of of human behavior, because you're creating serious problems not only for you but for others. The other thing that I want to talk about is this, and it's very, very serious, and it's I know it's highly overlooked in many instances. I had a friend at one time who lost his life behind a wheel in a car. Very nice guy, middle age, not even middle age yet. He wasn't middle age, and when I saw him before, when I used to see him, I would tell him, I says, you know, you need to take a look at your diet and lose some weight and try to change what you're doing, because I'm looking at how you're breathing and you're perspiring. It's telling me that you're having some sort of a distress somewhere inside. So you need to get yourself looked at. And you say, Doc, I'm coming, man. I'm going to come and see you, you know, this, that, the other, and so on. It always happens. Because, you know, you can't help it. In your profession, when you encounter something that is in line with your profession, you tend to absorb it. You know, so I would speak with him from time to time, and then I didn't ever see him. And one day he was on leave. While he was on leave, he was taking his daughter to school, and on his way, either from school back home, he had an accident where the car was speeding and he collided and died. Okay? Now, when I first heard of the accident, I said to myself, that is not an accident. That is a heart attack. Because knowing the person, he doesn't drive like that. And if the car was speeding and he collided with something, then it meant that he lost control of the car due to a cardiovascular accident. I said so. I did not know until a couple of weeks back, when I met his wife screening her, that indeed he suffered a heart attack when they did an autopsy, because I asked her if they did an autopsy. And when they did, she said, yes, they did. I asked her, I said, was his cause of death cardiovascular related? She said, yes. It was discovered that he had a heart attack behind the wheel. See? So sometimes when you see those things happening, and this is serious, when we are investigating accidents of those natures, we need to also examine the person behind the wheel somehow, because they most likely, or they must have had something that happened to them during their driving process of driving that triggered off an activity in the body that caused them to put the foot down on the accelerator and take off like that. We had an accident like that recently again. I don't know the person, I didn't know who it was, but I think every time those things happen, every time we have an accident where it involves speeding behind the wheel, except maybe on a highway or something, I think an investigation needs to be done on the person, maybe an autopsy, to ensure that it's not just an auto accident that happened and a cardiovascular accident or so, right? The reason why I'm saying that is because we have a very bad way of eating and consuming excessive amounts of fats in our diet. We consumed enormous amount of fried foods and fatty foods, and we're not exercising enough to burn those calories, to remove those cholesterol type fats and plaque out of our system. We need some cholesterol, but the good one. We don't need the LDL one. We need the one that can help us, not the one that can hurt us. When we use the foods, the oils, for instance, you should not cook with olive oil, period. Many persons cook with olive oil, and it shouldn't be done, because oils like olive oil changes its composition when it's heated, and it becomes dangerous. And many persons think olive oil is good, it's one of the best oils to use, but it is, and it should not, it's not recommended that you cook with it. But if you finish cooking and you want to add some of it, you can add a little bit. Don't heat it. You can also add it as part of a salad dressing. You can make salad dressing with the olive oil. It makes a nice salad dressing, and it would be good for you then. It's also very good for other things, but not for cooking. So don't cook with olive oil, my friends. I would suggest that you use simple coconut oil to get your frying done, okay, to be on the safe side. Now, that takes us right into something I want to talk about, which has to do with removal of plaque that we probably don't think about and we don't even maybe consider. It's called tomatoes. Tomatoes are known for certain things, certain good qualities. Some people say it's not good, it's too acid. Maybe, maybe, but it has its benefits. If it's too acid, then you can sort of steam it a little bit. You can steam it down a little bit to remove some of the acidity. But tomatoes, they contain something that's called lycopene. And lycopene is very good for your bad cholesterol, for the removal of your bad cholesterol. It is also very good for widening your blood vessels and your arteries. What it does, it helps to dilate and remove the LDL or the plaque that's lining the arteries when used on a regular basis. So tomatoes, sometimes I love tomatoes when it's just nice and big and cut up in a salad. I just like it like that. I put some olive oil dressing on it and I would eat my tomatoes. You know, not all tomatoes are acid. Some are very acid, some are not. Some are actually sweet. There's a particular tomato that I got from Ukraine, and I tried to plant it in our country, and it didn't grow yet, but I have some more seeds. I'm going to try it again. But this is a black tomato, believe it or not. There's a tomato that's a black tomato that I had in Ukraine. And this tomato is a very sweet tomato, okay? There's actually a place called Sweet Tomato in the US. When you go there, it's basically all salads and nice tasting foods. Sweet tomato, right? So you can use the tomato. Also, you can make nice ketchup. You can make your own tomato ketchup and or your own tomato paste, you know, and you can use the tomato in your foods as your ketchup and in your foods as a condiment and still get the benefit of the tomato. Okay? There's also a very high activity going on with the gardening situation. I have lots of my patients all across the globe actually that are sending me pictures of their gardens. I guess whoever tunes in whenever the programs are uploaded, they hear what we talk about gardening, and they all are doing gardening, you know. And I've got some beautiful gardens that I've actually sent so that you can see some of what is happening in basic yards, you know, in persons' yards, in the backyards and their side yards, even on their verandas, on their patios. You know, people are just using the COVID-19 pandemic time to produce for themselves. And some of what they're producing are tomatoes, you know. So if my operator can just maybe show some of the gardening that you know I've had recently. Some may have been there, but the ones that were there have gotten bigger, you know, and they're already reaping produce from the gardens. Like I've seen nice fat big thick leaf callaloo. I've seen pak choy. I've seen lettuce. I've seen tomatoes. I've seen eggplant. I've seen all sorts of things. And guess what? All of these vegetables and fruit are grown without chemicals. They're not using any fertilizers. They're promising me that they're not using fertilizers. And I know that these are people who don't believe in fertilizers. So I am saying that if these backyard farmers, and most of these persons are patients of mine, if these persons can produce in such a short time the luscious vegetables without chemicals, why in the world do we have to have chemically laden produce in the marketplace? Why? I don't understand it. What's going to happen soon enough, my friends, in the farming arena is that you will have to eat your own produce because If people continue to farm in their own backyards, they wouldn't need to visit your store in the market because you're growing with chemicals and they're not. So if my operator can just allow the viewers to see some of what is being produced in the backyards, you might be surprised. Now, I'm not really there to see live what is happening, but I know that you're seeing produce that were grown in persons' yards, and not only in the soil in the yard, but they do it in buckets. They do it in old paint cans that they clean out. They do it in they make their own boxes that they put down. They do it between blocks. You know, these persons created these farms. Some of it from their own hands. You know, putting together little receptacles to produce food that they can cook and eat. All right. So for those of you who are sitting down on your rear ends, wasting time, gambling, maybe just smoking and doing all the nonsense, take a look at what people are doing with that time and see how you feel when you have to go out and spend more money to buy produce that's not so healthy, when they can just go down in their backyards and cut and cook. And I have one particular patient and friend who invited me to eat some of the cook-up that was made with our callaloo, but I couldn't go because it's so far away. I couldn't get any. But I'm telling you, it's really awesome. It's really awesome to see that persons can, you know, they can do that sort of thing with the time that you know they have away from work. And some of them are working at home and doing the farming, you know, and I don't think they're going to stop because they fell in love with it. And some even call it their children. You know, the garden is now their children, where they are there just watering and feeding it just water, nourishing and nurturing them back. Now, that cook-up that you're seeing is cook-up that was made, and my operator probably wants some, but I'm sorry, you have to take it out of the television. I know he likes to eat. He likes to eat, and he likes to eat good food. That was good cook-up that was made, and it's a pity we couldn't get some of it, you know. I will see if I can arrange it somehow to have some cooked one day by one of our farmers right there in Guyana, so that so that we could have some cook-up to eat at the studio. I'll see if we can arrange that, right? Because I know they know how to cook and they can cook well, and if we can arrange it, you know, and make sure that you're working that day so that we all can have some of that beautiful organic cook-up with some tomato paste or no, tomato sauce or some ketchup with lycopene, so we could burn some of the plaque out of the arteries, right? Now, tomatoes are also good for the prostate, you know, so it serves multi-purposes. It is not just a tasty condiment in its own way, but it also can help with the prostate in the male, right? In the female, it'll have to kill up the plaque, but the male benefits more because it works with the prostate and it also works with the plaque in the arteries. We have a couple other videos that we want to show. And then I want to talk with you basically about some sugar cane, how important sugar cane juice is to the body. Okay, I've been talking about that for some time over and over at different times. Some people don't understand the benefits of sugar cane. Now, I want to say this before we get into it, that sugar cane is grown naturally in many yards in Guyana. Many, many yards. Even, I think, behind the studio has sugar cane, right? I think in front of the studio also has sugar cane. I walk down the road, I see sugar cane. But we may think that sugar cane is too sweet for us. It's full of sugar, but it's not so. It's not so. Sugar cane only becomes sugar when it's processed. Until it's processed, it is juice. It is cane juice, not sugar. Cane juice. It's a fruit like pineapple, like orange, like everything else that produces a nice sweet juice if you get the right oranges or the right pineapple. It's like a mango. Mango has nice sweet juice, and I know mango is in season. And if I show you some of the mangoes that I picked last week, you're gonna flip out, right? I did something that my partner in the studio can't do, I don't think. I climbed the mango tree and picked some mangoes. And I want to show you so you want to dribble one of the mangoes that I picked, right? I'm gonna get one and show it to you in a little bit. But before I get the mango, I want to ask my operator to put something short on so that you can look at it and be edified. Okay? So you stay tuned.
A lot of people assume just because African slaves were illiterate, they were ignorant. And there's a real big difference because African people, they had a very elaborate language or elaborate languages over in Africa. When Africans were brought over here, they were taught a bastardized version of English, and they weren't even allowed to see the language written down. And they were taught the language by lower class Europeans who were living in the South. So even though there was that major obstacle, blacks still did phenomenal things. Thomas Edison was known for stealing people's inventions. He was known for taking the inventions of a few African-American inventors. Lewis Latimer, Granville T. Woods actually went to court with Thomas Edison, and Granville T. Woods actually won his case.
Thomas Edison tried to bring Granville T. Woods to court on that invention. And I just saw a commercial for Mazda, I believe, cars, where they said, here's a man holding 1,000 patents. Well, 90% of them he stole.
Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Edison, who are probably considered America's two greatest inventors of all time. But guess who was designing their blueprints for the patent application? A black man. Now let's think about this for a minute. If you invent something, why do you need me to do the blueprints for the patent application? If it's your idea, how in the hell can I do the blueprints for it? You can't do the blueprints for my idea. I have to do them. So if Latimer is doing the blueprints, if he is your chief draftsman, and he's doing your blueprints for your patent application, Alexander Graham Bell, did you invent the telephone? Or did Lewis Latimer invent the telephone?
Okay. I want to take a minute to make you hungry. You already had the cook up, now it's time for dessert. Right? Where's my operator? Where's my buddy? I don't see him anymore. Maybe he's gone. He's gone because I'm going to show him something that would make him a little jealous and hungry. But he'll see it anyway. Last week, last weekend, I met a very nice elderly couple, and I was just passing and I saw mangoes, you know. They had the mangoes in the yard, they were selling the mangoes, and I stopped, not last week, I saw that before, and I used to buy mangoes from them. I never really saw the wife until one day when I wanted some mangoes and I didn't see any mangoes, but I saw mangoes in the tree. So I stopped him, knocked on the door. You can do that here too. And I saw this lady coming out in a wheelchair, you know. She came out, and I said, you know, I'm looking for some mangoes. She says, oh, we have mangoes in the tree, but nobody's there to pick them. My husband is ill, and you know, you see, I can't do anything, and you know, there's nobody to pick them. So I said, well, why are you in the wheelchair anyway? She said, my knees. So I promised her I'm going to get her some medicines to help her knees to come back so she can walk again properly and all that, because we do that. And then I made a date with her last weekend to go over and pick some mangoes, right? She said, well, you can come, you're welcome to come. And we have a picker in the back and all that. So I went there. I took the picker, and the mangoes that you could reach with the picker, you know, they're pretty much gone because everyone was using the little picker to pick the mangoes, and they couldn't, you know, get the higher ones. So I saw the ones that are higher, and I'm saying, man, those mangoes look awesome up there. But this picker can't reach. So how am I going to get the mangoes? So I said, okay, you know what? It's dry, it's not wet, I'm going up, right? So I went up in the tree, and before I went up in that tree, I remember my last incident with a mango tree, not very long ago, right there in Guyana. I climbed the mango tree, and I'm picking the mangoes, right? Nice mangoes, and all of a sudden, a swarm of bees came out from nowhere. And I forgot I was in a mango tree. I started hitting these bees on my skin, and the next thing I know, I'm coming down. I'm just coming down. And God was with me. My angels came around and they saved me, because I was coming down about 20 feet up in the air. I'm coming down seriously. And I was out of it for maybe a couple of minutes. And then I got back to, and I went to my clinic, and actually had to lay on the therapeutic bed for 4 hours because my back was all messed up. But, you know, I was saved and my back was good. So before I climbed that mango tree last weekend, I kept remembering that incident. I'm saying, boy, I hope there's no snake up there, no bees anywhere around. But the mangoes look really good. So here's what I did. I climbed the tree, and look at this mango. This is a mango, one of the mangoes that I picked, right? And this mango is so juicy and sweet. You know, you're not going to believe it. Miss Adams, this mango will make your mouth water, right? And it doesn't have, this mango is like cheese. It doesn't have, I don't know what the type of mango it is, but it doesn't have much fiber. It's just meat in this mango. And if you smell it, it makes your belly gripe. It's so delicious, right? This is one. But I thought this was a sweet mango. I mean, it's really sweet, but I thought this was a sweet one. They had a couple of mango trees in the yard, so I picked from both of them, right? This other mango, this guy here, I don't know what you call this guy, but this guy is so sweet that you can eat this mango alone and your belly full, right? So if you reach out and put your hand through there, I'll give it to you. Just reach out and take it, right? You got it, right? You got it? I don't have it anymore. It's gone. That means you got it. But those mangoes are so sweet. They are so delicious. I think we have those species of mangoes in Guyana. I think so. But these mangoes are awesome. So I eat mangoes. Sometimes I eat them for lunch. I eat them for breakfast. And I don't take a chance anymore for dinner because it makes you urinate a lot. It disturbs your sleep. But the mangoes are good, right? So I climbed and picked them. And they're really, really good, okay? All right, how much more time we have? Not too much more. I want to talk with you about sugar cane, okay? Now, a long time ago, I met a guy, because we use sugarcane juice for many purposes. And I saw him, he's selling cane juice on the West Coast. I used to drive all the way to the West Coast to get pure cane juice, okay? Because I don't play with cane juice. Some people are so cheating that they add water to the cane juice, they add sugar to the cane juice, or they put a lot of ice and just thin it down, and it shouldn't happen, right? When you have cane juice, you should have cane juice available, and if the person wants ice, you ask them, would you like to have some ice? You put the ice in, right? But don't trick them by putting ice inside and putting sugar and water and all that. You just sinning your soul, okay? You're fooling yourself. Now, this guy, I asked him, he says, do you drink this cane juice? He says, Doc, I'm a diabetic, and I use nothing else. Everything I need sweetened for, I use my cane juice. And you diabetic? He said, yes, I'm diabetic. I said, doesn't hurt you? He said, no, it doesn't hurt you. So this is a long time ago. So I did some research on cane juice and its benefits. And I found out that sugarcane has the highest form of chromium in it. And chromium, if you know what chromium is excellent for your pancreas. And it helps the pancreas to convert sugars to insulin. Chromium, right? As a matter of fact, you can buy chromium as medicine to use for diabetics, okay? That's one thing that the cane juice is good for. So I'm not saying that you should go out there and just gobble along the cane juice, all right? Because you may have other issues that you're not aware of, and cane juice may create some issues for you, okay? So you want to check with your known physician, not someone who knows about those things, not any physician, because not any physician can talk to you about cane juice, all right? Or you can do your own research now. What I suggest to diabetics, instead of using sugar and the artificial type of sweeteners, you get the cane juice and you freeze them in cubes in your ice pan. And when you want to sweeten for instance, your tea or something, you take a cube out and you put it in your tea and let that be your sweetener. Okay? It doesn't hurt. You can use it, right? But cane juice contains something that's called polycosanol. Polycosanol. Polycosanol helps to relieve cramp in your legs. It helps to relieve cramps from in your legs. Polycosanol in cane juice helps to lower cholesterol. Believe it or not. It helps to lower cholesterol, and it also is known to contribute towards helping persons to fight against or to defend against Alzheimer's disease. Now I can see the linkage, because if it helps to clear the arteries by lowering cholesterol, then of course you're going to be able to get better blood flow to the brain, better blood circulation. I can see how it links with the cramping too, because the polycosanol helps to remove the plaque from the arteries, thereby allowing better blood flow. And cane juice also has good potassium inside. Okay, so I can see the linkage, I can see the connectivity there. And besides that, it tastes beautiful. It has a very beautiful taste. You know, you can make your juices with cane juice. Add cane juice to your juices and you're going to have awesome flavor. And then when you do that, you're not only having awesome flavor, you are also having health benefits, right? So if you know someone who's suffering Alzheimer's disease or has any symptoms of Alzheimer's, start sweetening their teas and soda beverages with cane juice, and it will change. If you're getting cramps, cane juice. If you're diabetic, cane juice. But don't drown yourself with it, okay? Cane juice is delicious and a good source of nutrients. It doesn't only have potassium, it has other nutrients inside. Okay, besides the chromium, it has other nutrients. So I wanted to share that with you also today, because you need some refreshing information besides all the political stuff that's happening and all the COVID-19 pandemic and the corona scariness and all that. We need to start coming out of all of that and getting getting back into our livelihood, because we still have to live on, and we cannot allow a virus or a few persons to interfere with our our daily lives. We shouldn't. You know, and something I want to mention to our folks in Guyana. We may be polarized to a certain degree, and we also are very racist ourselves. Okay? We need to stop that nonsense because we are basically all Africans there. You know, Indians are dark skinned, they're light skinned. Africans are brown skinned and dark skinned. We are one big family who cannot really do without each other. You take one away from the other, and the other one is going to suffer. You know, so this nonsense that we have inside of us, whatever it is that we carry, we need to end it. We need to stop it and start living as a family. As a matter of fact, I believe that we should only have one government. I've always been saying that. We should have one government and one opposition that is decided upon. You can put the names down on a big ballot paper and allow people to vote for them, you know. But we need to work in partnership with each other so that we can grow as a nation. All right? And we need to stop all the nonsense, all this polarization that we have, all the racist feelings that we have and all that. It needs to come out. That's demonic and it's bad. It's bad for us. It's not good for us. Okay? God didn't create us to be this way. He created us so that we could work together with each other, and that's what we need to do. Okay, so whatever happens when the time comes, we have to live with each other. Okay? So cut it out. Enough of the nonsense. Let us put all the stupidity behind us, hold our hands, put our brains together, and develop our country. That's what we need to do. Okay, let's be an example to many other nations. All right, it doesn't matter who's there at the helm. Let's make sure we put the right people, and if we didn't get the right ones, let us help them to be educated so that they can do what they need to do. Let us demand that because they were put there by us if they're there, and they need to do for us what we deserve to have. All right. Now, I don't know how much time we have left there, but I have another video. I don't know if we have enough time to show it. If my operator can put it on, we may have enough time. I don't know. But I love the part where we take questions, but questions are so hard the way we do our program now. It's not easy to take questions and answers, but I hope that you're logging everything in. You're putting everything down in a book, and you're keeping them there so that when we go live again, physically live, that you can have all your questions answered if they're not answered already. Okay? But if you have the video and we have enough time to show it, I'd like you to play it so we can see, and maybe I can wrap up and call it a day. So you stay tuned.
What is it about the Negro? I mean, every other group that came as an immigrant somehow, not easily, but somehow got around it. Is it just the fact that Negroes are black?
White America must see that no other ethnic group has been a slave on American soil. That is one thing that other immigrant groups haven't had to face. The other thing is that the color became a stigma. American society made the Negro's color a stigma. America freed the slaves in 1863 through the Emancipation Proclamation of Abraham Lincoln, but gave the slaves no land or nothing in reality, and as a matter of fact, to get started on. At the same time, America was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that there was a willingness to give the white peasants from Europe an economic base, and yet it refused to give its black